In going round this circle, they say, we necessarily touch upon these two lines as well as upon the Holy Scriptures. And while a Mason keeps himself circumscribed within their precepts, it is impossible that he should materially err. It would be a waste of time to comment upon this. Some writers have imagined that the parallel lines represent the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, which the sun alternately touches upon at the summer and winter solstices. But the tropics are not perpendicular lines, and the idea is merely fanciful. If the parallel lines ever belonged to the ancient symbol, they had some more recondite and more fruitful meaning. Probably had the same meaning as the twin columns Jachin and Boaz. That meaning is not for the apprentice. The adept may find it in the Kabbalah. The justice and mercy of God are in equilibrium, and the result is harmony, because a single and perfect wisdom presides over both. The Holy Scriptures are an entirely modern addition to the symbol, like the terrestrial and celestial globes on the columns of the portico. Thus, the ancient symbol has been denaturalized by incongruous additions, like that of Isis weeping over the broken column containing the remains of Osiris at Byblos. Masonry has its Decalogue, which is a law to its initiates. These are its 10 commandments. 1. God is the eternal, omnipotent, immutable wisdom and supreme intelligence and exhaustless love. Thou shalt adore, revere, and love him. Thou shalt honor him by practicing the virtues. 2. Thy religion shall be to do good, because it is a pleasure to thee, and not merely because it is a duty. That thou mayest become the friend of the wise man, thou shalt obey his precepts. Thy soul is immortal. Thou shalt do nothing to degrade it. 3. Thou shalt unceasingly war against vice. Thou shalt not do unto others that which thou wouldst not wish them to do unto thee. Thou shalt be submissive to thy fortunes and keep burning the light of wisdom. 4. Thou shalt honor thy parents. Thou shalt pay respect and homage to the aged. Thou shalt instruct the young. Thou shalt protect and defend infancy and innocence. 5. Thou shalt cherish thy wife and thy children. Thou shalt love thy country and obey its laws. 6. Thy friend shall be to thee a second self. Misfortune shall not estrange thee from him. Thou shalt do for his memory whatever thou wouldst do for him if he were living. 7. Thou shalt avoid and flee from insincere friendships. Thou shalt in everything refrain from excess. Thou shalt fear to be the cause of a stain on thy memory. 8. Thou shalt allow no passions to become thy master. Thou shalt make the passions of others profitable lessons to thyself. Thou shalt be indulgent to error. 9. Thou shalt hear much. Thou shalt speak little. Thou shalt act well. Thou shalt forget injuries. Thou shalt render good for evil. Thou shalt not misuse either thy strength or thy superiority. 10. Thou shalt study to know men, that thereby thou mayest learn to know thyself. Thou shalt ever seek after virtue. Thou shalt be just. Thou shalt avoid idleness. But the great commandment of Masonry is this: A new commandment give I unto you, that ye love one another. He that saith he is in the light and hateth his brother remaineth still in the darkness. Such are the moral duties of a Mason. But it is also the duty of Masonry to assist in elevating the moral and intellectual level of society, in coining knowledge, bringing ideas into circulation, and causing the mind of youth to grow, and in putting, gradually, by the teaching of axioms and the promulgation of positive laws, the human race in harmony with its destinies. To this duty and work, the initiate is apprenticed. He must not imagine that he can effect nothing, and therefore, despairing, become inert. It is in this, as in a man's daily life. Many great deeds are done in the small struggles of life. There is, we are told, a determined, though unseen bravery, which defends itself, foot to foot, in the darkness, against the fatal invasion of necessity and of baseness. There are noble and mysterious triumphs which no eye sees, which no renown rewards, which no flourish of trumpets salutes. Life, misfortune, isolation, abandonment, poverty are battlefields, which have their heroes obscure, but sometimes greater than those who become illustrious. The Mason should struggle in the same manner and with the same bravery against those invasions of necessity and baseness, which come to nations as well as to men. He should meet them too, foot to foot, even in the darkness, and protest against the national wrongs and follies, against usurpation, in the first inroads of that hydra, tyranny. There is no more sovereign eloquence than the truth in indignation. It is more difficult for a people to keep than to gain their freedom. The protests of truth are always needed. Continually the right must protect against the fact. There is, in fact, eternity in the right. The Mason should be the priest and soldier of that right. If his country should be robbed of her liberties, he should still not despair. The protest of the right against the fact persists forever. The robbery of a people never becomes prescriptive. Reclamation of its rights is barred by no length of time. Warsaw can no more be Tartar than Venice can be Teutonic. A people may endure military usurpation, and subjugated states kneel to states and wear the yoke, while under the stress of necessity. But when the necessity disappears, if the people is fit to be free, the submerged country will float to the surface and reappear, and tyranny be adjudged by history to have murdered its victims. Whatever occurs, we should have faith in the justice and overruling wisdom of God, and hope for the future, and loving kindness for those who are in error. God makes visible to men his will in events, an obscure text written in a mysterious language. Men make their translations of it forthwith, hasty, incorrect, full of faults, omissions, and misreadings. We see so short a way along the arc of the great circle. Few minds comprehend the divine tongue. The most sagacious, the most calm, the most profound decipher the hieroglyphs slowly. And when they arrive with their texts, perhaps the need has long gone by. There are already 20 translations in the public square, the most incorrect being, as of course, the most accepted and popular. From each translation a party is born, and from each misreading a faction. Each party believes or pretends that it has the only true text, and each faction believes or pretends that it alone possesses the light. Moreover, factions are blind men who aim straight. Errors are excellent projectiles, striking skillfully. And with all the violence that springs from false reasoning, wherever a want of logic in those who defend the right, like a defect in a cuirass, makes them vulnerable. Therefore, it is that we shall often be discomfited in combating error before the people. Antæus long resisted Hercules, and the heads of the Hydra grew as fast as they were cut off. It is absurd to say that error, wounded, writhes in pain and dies amid her worshippers. Truth conquers slowly. There is a wondrous vitality in error. Truth, indeed, for the most part, shoots over the heads of the masses, or if an error is prostrated for a moment, it is up again in a moment and as vigorous as ever. It will not die when the brains are out, and the most stupid and irrational errors are the longest lived. Nevertheless, Masonry, which is morality and philosophy, must not cease to do its duty. We never know at what moment success awaits our efforts, generally when most unexpected, nor with what effect our efforts are or are not to be attended. Succeed or fail, Masonry must not bow to error or succumb under discouragement. There were at Rome a few Carthaginian soldiers, taken prisoners, who refused to bow to Flaminius, and had a little of Hannibal's magnanimity. Masons should possess an equal greatness of soul. Masonry should be an energy, finding its aim and effect in the amelioration of mankind. Socrates should enter into Adam and produce Marcus Aurelius. In other words, bring forth from the man of enjoyments the man of wisdom. Masonry should not be a mere watchtower built upon mystery from which to gaze at ease upon the world, with no other result than to be a convenience for the curious. To hold the full cup of thought to the thirsty lips of men, to give to all the true ideas of deity, to harmonize conscience and science, are the province of philosophy. Morality is faith in full bloom. Contemplation should lead to action, and the absolute be practical. The ideal be made air and food and drink to the human mind. Wisdom is a sacred communion. It is only on that condition that it ceases to be a sterile love of science and becomes the one and supreme method by which to unite humanity and arouse it to concerted action. Then philosophy becomes religion. And Masonry, like history and philosophy, has eternal duties, eternal and at the same time simple. To oppose Caiaphas as bishop, Draco or Jeffreys as judge, Trimalcion as legislator, and Tiberius as emperor. These are the symbols of the tyranny that degrades and crushes, and the corruption that defiles and infests. In the works published for the use of the craft, we are told that the three great tenets of a Mason's profession are brotherly love, relief, and truth. And it is true that a brotherly affection and kindness should govern us in all our intercourse and relations with our brethren, and a generous and liberal philanthropy actuate us in regard to all men. To relieve the distressed is peculiarly the duty of Masons, a sacred duty not to be omitted, neglected, or coldly or inefficiently complied with. It is also most true that truth is a divine attribute and the foundation of every virtue. To be true and to seek to find and learn the truth are the great objects of every good Mason. As the ancients did, Masonry styles temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice the four cardinal virtues. They are as necessary to nations as to individuals. The people that would be free and independent must possess sagacity, forethought, foresight, and careful circumspection, all which are included in the meaning of the word prudence. It must be temperate in asserting its rights, temperate in its counsels, economical in its expenses. It must be bold